Did that fix it? Did that get my voice in? I think that might have gotten it. I'm doing a little bit of different routing today on the mixer, and it looks like I probably got jiggy with it in the beginning there. Hopefully I'm back in now. And thanks for joining me for another Sunday morning Eurorack Patch Lab. Got it. All right. Fantastic. Can you hear my voice okay, even though the music is so loud today? Sort of a big, loud, thundering techno patch that I've got in this system currently. I put this together for the live stream yesterday. For any of those of you who tuned into that, thanks very much for joining me. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to be patching today, so if any of you have any preferences as to what we make today, whether it's like a techno groove like what we're hearing now, or maybe you'd be interested in creating some sort of a broken beat, or maybe chill out, just go ahead and drop some comments in the chat and maybe we'll get to some cool patching in just a few minutes. Really like the way that this patch came together. I'm using a module called the Memetic Digitalis from Noise Engineering to create the bassline grooves in this patch. It's running through a quad quantizer module, allowing me to keep the bassline in key, and I've got 8 different bassline patterns that I can switch back and forth between in real time. So 1, 2, 1, 2, switch the bass. How about some dub with Uber delay? Well, that sounds pretty dreamy. One of the neat things about this patch is I've set up a couple of tracks to auto-magically turn on and off in real time so that I don't always have to be 100% super focused on the arrangement and that I can focus on a few other details. What I'm doing to create that is I'm actually taking a very slow division from my clock divider module and I'm running that into a second clock divider module so that I can slow the clock way down. I'm running this clock signal into a VCA, which opens and closes every time it receives a signal from the clock divider. So if I send it a very slow signal, maybe that turns on and off every 8 or every 16 bars, then the VCA will open and allow the sound that I'm running through it to come through every 16 or 18 bars, as I set over here. So I currently have the clap set to turn on and off automagically every 8 bars. And there's a ride symbol that's going on in the background of this groove as well, which automagically turns off and on every 16 bars. Here comes the clap. Let's count it out. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8. Turn the clap off now. So there's no ride, there's no clap. We'll wait for just a minute. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here comes the ride. The benefit of turning these tracks on and off at 16 bars or 8 bars is that the ride and the clap are now turning on and off at sort of the same time as each other. Sometimes the ride keeps going while the clap is in and out, and you just sort of get that auto magic ebb and flow start to happening, so I can focus on like working with the bass sound, for instance. The bass sound is actually the FM algorithm in the Mutable Instruments Platts module, and I'm able to, get it a little bit more FME here with a knob. Great for those turnaround accents. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. How about some accents? Now back. I'm also using a neat trick where I'm running the bass sound through a quad cutoff module from Mazatron. And what this is a low pass filter. And currently we're not really hearing anything from this low pass filter. But if I take this cable here, which is a duplicate of my main clock signal, and I plug it into the CV input of this filter that the bass sound is running through, it completely changes the tonality of that sound and kind of tightens up and sharpens up the bass. Let me show you what I mean, how the bass sound changes when I plug this cable in. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, and we plug it in. Go ahead and mute all of the tracks except for the bass here and this crash so that you can really hear what I'm talking about. Hear how tight and punchy the bass is, but if I pull this cable out, we go back to a kind of a more wide open sound. Hey, Daniel, thanks for joining me. The bass line is currently coming from the Mutable Instruments Platts module, and I'm using the FM algorithm to get the bass sound. I really like this algorithm because if you mess with the timbre knob, it gives a little bit more FM to the bass sound. Let me show you that here. So if we have the bass soloed, also a crash cymbal soloed here, but I can tweak the amount of FM on the bass in real time, and I find that it's a really fun algorithm to play with in real time for techno. You can also kind of shift the timbre and tone of it on this side as well with the morph knob. And the pattern itself is being controlled by the noise engineering memetic digitalis, which it's basically spits out random CV information, which I'm sending to the pitch of this module. But to keep everything in key, I'm running it through a quantizer. In this patch, I'm using the quad quantizer from Tenderfoot Electronics, and we're tuned to an F minor scale, so that even though I'm sending random CV patterns into the module, the quad quantizer is keeping those values locked to a melodic scale for us. Got 11 people today, all right. Thanks for joining me, everyone. We're just about to pull all of these cables and attempt to patch something from scratch today. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to patch, so it should be pretty interesting. Stick around. Another neat thing about this particular patch that I've got set up here is I'm using a quad switch from Dopefer. This is actually a passive switch, meaning I don't actually have to plug this module into power, which is super cool. But what it does is it allows me to plug a trigger signal into it. And then there's a switch, which allows me to send the output of that trigger signal to either one output or a separate output. And what I'm doing here, let's see, to actually, let me turn this on. Fantastic. I've get rid of that crash here. I've got it set up so that I can switch between two different hi-hat sounds, which sounds pretty basic, but anything you can do while a patch is going to kind of alter and sort of keep those sections and your ebb and flow alive is definitely a plus in my book. So I'm using the Blue Lantern modules version of the Braids module from Mutable Instruments, and it's just whacking out a noise rhythm, just like a white noise sound. And I can turn that on and off with the switch, but if I turn the switch to the other output, it's actually going to a separate module, which is generating another hi-hat sound. This hi-hat sound is being modulated a bit in real time. So at any time during the patch, I can switch the hi-hat sound. I can turn it off, or route it to the noise, or turn it off, or route it to the other hi-hat module. There's four switches in this module, so the ability to do quite a bit of navigating of your signals and changing what sound you're triggering. I'm having a lot of fun getting used to this one and getting it in the system. Being able to turn it off in real time or change the sound, super, super handy. All right, I think it's about time we'll go ahead and start pulling some cables and start patching something up. While we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and play some music here from my channel. This is a live jam that I put out, I don't know, a few months ago. And so while I'm pulling these cables, let's see if we can get some music going in the background. Let me know if that's too loud for you at home. And I'm just going to start pulling these cables so that we can patch something from scratch today. Nice Hornets Ferryman. Hey, Lee. Hey, Corey. Hey, Sean. Thanks for joining up, everyone. This is gonna be a fun one today. I've got some ideas, but I don't know exactly where we're gonna go. Got a lot of cables in this patch.
What lesson can I learn from this? And how can I move forward better? That is how we tackle life. That is how we stay positive. No matter what is happening in our lives, no matter what is happening in our lives, we look at it as a lesson. That is how we stay positive. What lesson can I learn from this? And how can I move forward better? That is how we tackle life. That is how we stay positive. No matter what is happening in our lives.
Hey, what's happening, Tony?
No matter what is happening in our lives, we look at it as a lesson.
Okay, I think we are ready to start doing some patching today. Cool. Let me get Ableton back up. What I like to do is I like to use a couple of visualizers when I'm programming on headphones specifically. I'm using the FabFilter Pro Q3 equalizer to kind of get a visual on my frequency content, as well as the isotope tonal balance control to try to keep my high and my low frequencies sort of in line when I'm working on the headphones. I think the first thing we're going to do today is I've got to switch out a couple of these sample cards that I'm using in these Tip Top Audio 1 samplers so that we can use some different samples. I think we're going to go ahead and start off the patch today by trying to get some melodic content happening using samples today. So that I don't pop the speakers for you at home, I'm going to turn the volume down for you guys for 1 second while I... Okay, you should be able to hear me again, hopefully. I've gone ahead and swapped out these cards here for some other sounds. And what I think we're going to go ahead and do to start off today is see if we can create a melodic pattern, again, using a sample. I think what we're going to do to create that is use the memetic digitalis, which is a random CV generator that I can connect up to our system to get at the same tempo. So that's the first thing we're going to need to worry about. I'm using the Digitact as our master clock. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I've got this set up to send a reset signal into the system so that I can get all of the sequencers knowing when the downbeat is. It's also allows me to set the tempo that we're working with. So let's see here. If I want to get the memetic digitalis going at our main tempo, first thing we'll need to do is go ahead and send a clock signal to the memetic digitalis. It's going to be a few minutes before we get some actual audio going, so now would be a great time to grab a coffee if you plan on hanging out for the patching. Hey, 22 people joining me for the patching right now. That's fantastic. Thanks for joining me, everyone. I'm trying to get the memetic digitalis going so that we can program some melodics with it today. We've already sent it a trigger, excuse me, a clock signal from our main clock source, which is the Digitact today, running into the poly-end poly2 module to turn that MIDI into CV information. We're going to go ahead and get a reset signal now into the memetic, so that it knows when the downbeat is. Fantastic. Now what we need to do is we need to route the output of this into a quantizer so that it will keep the output quantized to a musical scale. If you do not run it into a quantizer, it doesn't have any scales built into it, so it's just going to spit out random CV information over about an 8-octave range. And we're going to turn that into some melodic information that actually makes sense. Okay, so I want to run the output of the memetic. Actually, I need a longer cable for this one. Let's start this one here, I think. Okay, let me figure this out here. I need to put the trigger in as well, I believe, so we'll go ahead and do that. So it looks like we need to send in a CV signal, which is the pitch signal, and also a trigger signal so that it knows when to actually trigger the sound. Let's see if I've got this accurate, and I sure do. But what we're getting is we're getting kind of a really wide like amount of octaves that it's generating the sound. So what we need to do is we just need to attenuate that a little bit. And I've got an attenuator here, so we can go ahead and plug the output of the memetic directly into an attenuator, which is going to allow me to take this like 8-octave range of CV signals and dial that right back down to maybe a 1 or 2-octave range of signals that will make a little bit more sense, hopefully. So now using the attenuator, I can control just how much range of octaves we're getting, and I can keep it a lot lower. Let's go ahead and do something else though before we worry about this. Let's go ahead and get some sort of a rhythm going that we can actually work with. A lot of times I'll use like a hi-hat module or something and just kind of set up a tick. But today I brought over the Roland TR-8S to try to have some fun with. And let's see if we can do that today. So I'm routing this into the system. I'm using the Strymon AA1 module to bring in an outside source. It allows you to send audio out of the system or into the system. It's mainly meant to be used with like an effects pedal, but instead of bringing audio from a pedal in, I'm just taking a Y cable and we're running that into the stereo input here. And what we'll need to do is route this module into my mixer so that we can hear it. And when I press play on the Digitact, the TR8S starts as well. And what I've got here is just some really basic, like percussion sounds, like hi-hats and rides and claps and shakers. So let's see here. If I pick, for instance, just like this closed hat, trying to get this reverb off. There we go. Cool. So we've got a hat here, and I can bring like maybe an open hat, and I can bring maybe like a clap in. So now we just have sort of a basic rhythm going, and our the pattern that we're creating using the memetic digitalis is going to go ahead and follow our tempo now. So we can just kind of start messing around and see if we can find something that inspires us or jumps out at us to work with. What I've got here is I've got a card in the Tip Top Audio 1 sampler, which is just playing one-shot samples that are tuned to the key, to the note of C. I don't really have anything in mind that I'm searching for today. I'm just kind of seeing if anything jumps out at us, maybe. Sometimes these can be a little bit lengthy in the beginning as we start getting things together. I don't want to pick a sound per se to build upon unless it's, really something worth building upon. So sometimes I might take a little bit longer in the beginning to get situated with something for us to build. I think that's a pretty nice pluck sound that maybe we could work with. Let's go ahead and see about getting a kick drum happening so that we've got, a real rhythm that we can actually, hear and focus in on. Let's go ahead and use I really like to use the Blue Lantern module's assist module. It's kind of a kick drum maker for dummies module. It has a pitch envelope as well as a decay envelope and some special features to turn any oscillator in your system into a really robust and fat kick drum. And that's what we're going to work on today. So let me go ahead and get this routed for us so that we can actually hear it. There we go. Take it out from this module over here to my main mixer. Cool. So far we've got a little bit of rhythm coming out of the TR8S and a very little bit of a melodic part coming out of a sample in the Tip Top Audio 1. I think this is definitely something we can build on, so stick around. Going to be the actual trigger, right? Okay. I want to send our master clock signal to a clock divider. So I'm going to go ahead and send our master clock signal to another module here, which is a clock divider. Start tucking some of these cables a little better, actually. Okay. trigger should be coming from is the button of 4. Cool. That's maybe a little short. All right. I think that's something we can work with. Let's take a look at my audio level here. Maybe make a quick adjustment on the mixer. Is everything sounding okay there at home? Hey, what's happening, Craig? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Spider. Hey, Goldclap. Thanks for tuning in. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. I think this is a pretty neat start here. But what let's do is let's see if we can get some sort of an effect happening right away on our melodic sound so that we can get some sort of a personality happening with that and it's not so dry. I'd like to try to run that through the Dual Effects module from Erica Synth. That's kind of a new one to my system. So let's give that a go. Instead of routing this sound directly into the mixer, let's go ahead and route it directly into this Dual Effects from Erica Synth. Another neat thing that I really like about this particular module is it allows me to route in a mono signal and it turns that into a nice stereo signal. The effects in the module are in stereo. So what we'll need to do, we'll just go ahead and take a nice long cable and run the out all the way over here into the in. Perfect. And then we'll just take a couple of really long ones, route that back out. Let's route this over here, I think. All right. This is going to have some personality. Now, I'm not super familiar with this module yet, so let me bring up what these algorithms do. We've got a couple of different reverb choices, and we've got a couple of different delay choices in this module, depending on the algorithm that we choose. Let's see what we can get this to sound like. Yeah, that first one, don't yell here, that first one was the mono delay. This one is a stereo delay, which adds a little bit of stereo width to the sound. You see if the next one is a high pass delay, which sounds quite a bit cooler. Let's see what we can do with that. Kind of going back to the stereo delay, I think. I'm just sort of setting the delay time manually by hand so that it kind of just adds a little bit of texture and life to that melodic sound. And we're going to put this on super light. So it's just adding a little bit of the vibe of that in the background. Cool. What let's do is let's see if maybe we can get a second melodic part happening to accompany this melodic part that we've started with here. I've got another chip with samples on it in the second Tip Top Audio 1. These are also melodic samples that are just tuned to the note of C. So maybe that would be fun to see if we can get that in the mix today. In fact, I think that our first sound, before we do that, I think our first sound might be a little bit too dry for my taste still. So I think what we're going to do is route this first sound into two different destinations. One, this clean destination, so we can, get a clean signal. But I think I'd like to also add some extra reverb to this sound. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to change this up a little bit. This is the beauty of modular, is that you can really decide how you'd like to route, you know, pretty much anything in your system. Need to do this for both, right? Okay, so first of all, let's just get our signal going back in. Cool. I'll need two longer. Cool. So this will get our signal going back in the way it was originally just a moment ago. Now we've got the little bit of the delay on that sound. And what I'm going to do is I've got these little Ninja Star adapters that when you route an audio signal into them, it allows you to route that out the other outputs as well. So I've got two of the outputs just going to the mixer, my main mixer, so that we get a nice dry signal. Or not a dry signal rather, but we get a direct signal from the dual effects from Erica synths into my mixer. And now I'm going to take some outputs from these extra, and I'm going to route these into my reverb, so we can get a little bit of reverb on this sound as well. This is going to be awesome. Hang tight. Cool. I've got a little mixer next to my reverb module so that I can put multiple things through the reverb if we want to. I'm going to go ahead and patch the mixer in to the reverb, and then I'm just going to patch the reverb into our mixer so that we can hear that signal as well. This ought to give us a lot of texture on this sound to work with. What have I done wrong here? I don't think it's liking these adapters. Okay, fair enough. Bear with me while I swap out these adapters and try a different approach. Alright, we're getting there. I'm not getting any signal out of the reverb today. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing wrong here. Bear with me and we will get it sorted. I feel like something's not quite right with this today. That's really odd. Having a little bit of trouble with my splitters today, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. I'm gonna just pass on that idea for now, I guess. And what we'll do is go back to just routing this directly in. And just go ahead and move forward. Whoops. Alright. It's weird because I was really hoping to use that reverb today. Maybe we'll get it in a moment. But on a live stream, when things aren't going well, I just kind of move forward so that, you know, it doesn't take forever. And we don't waste a lot of time on one little detail. Alright. So we've still got our drums and we've still got our synthesizer sound here with a little bit of effect on it. Not quite as much as I was hoping to get. But we can move forward and maybe add something else instead. Hey, Frontman 242, thanks for joining up. Hey, Hustle. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can add a second melodic sound then. And what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to use the memetic digitalis for this as well. I'm going to go ahead and plug another one of its CV outs into the second channel of my attenuator. And let's go ahead and run an output from that attenuator into the second CV input on my quantizer module here. And we'll take that output. We're going to go ahead and run that with a longer cable into another sample module that's housing, CV, cool. And then we just need that gate signal as well. And then we just need to patch this module into the system so we can actually hear it. Let's see what we can come up with here. I haven't done this, so this could go, one of two ways. So I have 50 basses and 50 synthesizer sounds on this sample card. They're all tuned to the note of C, so they're already in key. We just have to scroll through and see if we can find something that jumps out at us. Sounds like we're in the basses right now, so I'll try to find us maybe some synthesizer sounds. And I'm not really looking for anything specific, just to maybe see if we can find something that sort of gels a little bit with what we've got going already, and something that maybe we can, hone into the mix. Bit too much in the same frequency range, I think. Almost. I never know just how long this part of the process will take, finding, sounds that start going together, so thank you for your patience. This is definitely part of the workflow for me when I'm using these kind of samplers. Kind of using the memetic digitalis in its random mode to try to randomize some of these CV outputs and see if we can find anything that sort of starts gelling. It's kind of a neat sort of a groove, I think. Too high on that one. I'd like to try to raise the pitch 1 octave on that higher sound. And what we've got is we've got a way to do that here using the Volt module from WMD Devices. I haven't really used this very much, and I just got it. We'll see if we can make this do what I'd like it to do. But I took this is the gate. Okay, so that needs to be the trigger still. Kind of an underground dubby thing happening here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take a moment and make it so that we can turn the kick drum on and off. So I don't always have to keep talking over the kick drum, just going, you know, boom, boom, every single time we try to talk a little bit. There we go. So now I can go ahead and turn that kick drum on and off for us. And what I'm doing is I've got a separate plugin here called Mixed in Key. All the audio is being routed into my system as we discussed earlier, and so I can use this plugin to kind of verify the keys and the melodics that we're working in. So let's see here. If I mute the kick drum, and if I bring the volume down on the TR-8S that was providing that top loop, now we're just hearing this little melodic blippy sound. And I can verify that we're in key or not in key on that sound. Now I can try to verify that we're in that same key with the other sound. Hey Corey, thanks for joining me. It's kind of an interesting groove that we've got going here today. Not the best groove, maybe. Okay. What I've done is I've done a little bit more randomizing on the memetic digitalis to see if any of the melodic patterns that it would generate for us would maybe stick a little bit more. And I like what it's doing to that first sound. If I bring our second sound down in the mix, now that's kind of a solid groove in the background. If I maybe bring some of the delay off of that, so it's a little tighter, maybe adjust the time of that delay a little still. Hold on. I like that start. That's nice. So let me go ahead and mute that and turn this down again. See what the mixed in key has to say. Cool, D. So we want this to be an F if I can. Oh, I see, that's the wrong one. Bear with me while I do a little bit of adjusting here. All right, so that's just kicking in at C then. Come on. You can do it. Whoops, I just lost our sound. Oh no. Now, those sounds are a lot more in key with each other. All right, there we go. It's good to take that time in the beginning, even though I'm on a live stream and I never know how long some of these sections are going to take. If I don't get a nice foundation for us to build off of, then we're kind of going to be up a creek, you know what I mean? So I've got to take the time to get the foundation working. Yeah, that's nice. All right. Just randomizing our second melodic element to see if I can get it to gel a little more with the first melodic element that we just nailed in. I like that. There's like a little pause in between some of those notes there. That's very nice. But this sound is actually pretty dry as well. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get some effects on that second sound as well. There's actually, two different effect slots on the dual effects from Erica Synth. That's why it's called the dual effects. And we're going to go ahead and run this second sound. Instead of directly into the mixer, we're going to run that into the Erica Synth module. Maybe add some reverb on that or something. Cool. Need a couple long cables for the output here. More vibe on that one. Which effect is that actually? Let's find out. Add a ride cymbal at this time to get a little bit more high frequency content. And what we're doing is I'm using the TR-8S today as a way to get some, extra percussion and claps and hi-hats and whatnot into the mix super easily. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and see if we can't just duplicate what we've got started already. I don't actually remember how to do that all of a sudden, so maybe we'll just write a new one real fast then. Cool. So I've got, let's see here, like a shaker. We've got like a 707 ride here. Maybe we want more of a 909 ride sound. There we go. That's better. Let's get a 909 clap in the mix too. Cool. Now we can actually scroll back and forth between these two different rhythm patterns in real time. I've got one pattern over here that's got kind of ride and shakers, and then the second pattern which has got kind of an open hi-hat and a clap sound. So we've got a little bit of variation happening on the rhythm that we can go back and forth between. Let's change it. All right, cool. Go ahead and make a variation on our melodic content. If I go ahead and just save what we've got here coming out of the memetic digitalis into slot 1, and then I can just literally start scrolling our content. I can set up both patterns to accept the randomization, and I can just start randomizing these patterns and see if any melodics jump out to us. Here we've got an interesting variation now with a really minimal bass pattern happening. I can now just randomize our top percussion, our top melodic line rather. And see if we can get it to do something interesting. Bear with me and you'll see why I'm going through this in just a moment. Really getting a lot of pitch changes on that, are we? I wonder. That's what I thought. Yeah, that volt is screwing up my... Okay. I'll have to look into that at another time. That's an anomaly. Okay. What I'm going to do is go back to our first original melodics now that I figured out that the volt was giving me a little bit of trouble and not letting the melodic content of that second patch through. Whew. This is what happens when I try to experiment and do a bunch of stuff in a live stream that I'm not super familiar with. Alright. I'm just trying to get a decent pattern for our second melodic sound at this point. It's really fighting with me now. I changed the actual sound, did some randomizing until it started gelling. Trying to get the mix a little bit situated here. That's sounding pretty good though. Cool. Let's see if we can get like a crash cymbal or an impact sound to happen on the downbeat measure of every 8 bars. That way we sort of can lock into a rhythmic groove that sort of is a repeating pattern. And the audience has something that their ear will identify with as well, which really, you know, helps people understand your groove and when the downbeat actually is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a divided clock signal here, and I'm going to run that into the ramble sampler. I've got a slot here that's set up to play back a crash cymbal, and we're going to go ahead and just get that into the mix here. Fantastic. Here comes the crash on the downbeat. So that allows us to really get locked into a groove that we can now kind of change up, maybe 8 bars, start implementing some things on the downbeat in real time as we're jamming the patch. And 1, 2, here comes the crash. That gives us a really nice kind of cycle to follow and get locked into. I think that's sounding a little better, yeah? But what we'll do, since we sort of lost our high frequency content, is let's maybe see if we can bring some of that back using maybe like a chord or a pad or something in the mix. Let me go ahead and take a moment and just make sure that we're doing what I want us to be doing here. Okay, cool. Come on. I can't get this in the same key, really? Not happy quite with the pitch on this second one, guys. The point, actually, of using these samplers and having samples in them that are tuned to the note of C, I was hoping that we would avoid all of this pitch, you know, nonsense, trying to get things to match. But apparently that's not the case today. All right. Okay. Oh. I'll get it. Bear with me for just 1 second. So close. Let me go ahead and get this mix going. We've got our kick drum. Pretty robust kick drum here. Maybe a little bigger than I would like it to be. Cool. And let's go ahead and get this in the system here. Alright, yeah. Just trying to get the mix situated a little for us. Bring that ride down in the mix. Go ahead and bring this back over here, I think, actually, so that I can... Bear with me for 1 second here while I do a little bit of creative routing on that lead sound for us. There we go. I took a moment to route the lead sound through my mixer, which has a 3-band EQ, so that I could remove a little bit of the low frequency content from the higher pitch to melodic sound. Did I get it back together? I think we've got a pretty decent foundation again here. What do you think? Let's see what we can add to this. I'm going to go ahead and get the chords module from Qubit into the mix. And what we'll do is we'll need to make sure that that's in tune with the rest of our stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and take an output from that module. It's got a way for you to divide up the outputs here. So it's a chord module which plays, you know, the root, the third, the fifth, and the seventh of a chord. You can take these outputs individually, or you can take a mix output of all of those sounds. And what I like to do is just make sure that the root note is in tune with the key of our track. And it is, so we're starting off lucky there. Gonna need a little bit longer cable here to route this. Actually, I think we'll take a splitter cable this time so that I can route this into 2 different destinations automatically. We'll go ahead and route this over here so we can hear it. Cool. I definitely want to be able to create some rhythmic elements and not just have a static chord playing the whole time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run this chord into an envelope module. We're going to use the WMD Devices Javelin module for this. And that's going to allow us to use the envelope settings, attack, decay, sustain, release on this sound. And it's going to allow us to control this sound rhythmically with a sequencer. go ahead and take a second here and make it so that I can mute each of these melodic elements so that we don't have to have them running the entire time, all the time. And we'll just take a moment, do a little bit of extra routing here so that I've got on and off controls for these sounds. Cool. So now I can turn off both of these samplers so that we can just hear what's happening coming out of the chord module. And so we can currently, you know, we've got a pattern here that's just all 16th notes. But I can control what this pattern is actually doing using the sequencer that I'm using to control the gate of this envelope. I'm using the Mazatron Golden Shower sequencer, which is one of my absolute favorite sequencers to use. Cool. Go ahead and get this chord a little bit more into the mix, shall we? I'm going to try again with the reverb. Am I going to really try again with that? It just doesn't. I think I have something wrong with that today. I'm not exactly sure. Is that really the case? Well, that seems to be working. I see. In left. Trying again to get this reverb into the mix today. I think this time I've got it. And we can put a little bit of reverb on this chord rhythm. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Trying to get the mix situated a little bit with our new sound. Does that sound like we're in key to you guys at home? What do you think? Did I get it? Are we locked in key or am I a little bit off still maybe? Hey, alright, thanks for sticking around everyone. I think I brought it back around to a workable groove. This is the beauty and sometimes the frustration of modular. Sometimes you'll have something, you know, completely locked and you'll be really excited about it. Then maybe you may bump something or accidentally, you know, turn something that you didn't mean to turn or press something that you didn't mean to press. And then suddenly that amazing groove you had locked is suddenly kind of all over the place again, and you've got to take that time and rein everything back in. It's definitely an alive thing, and that's definitely one of the exciting things about working with it. All right, this is cool. My sense of timing, so I'm going to go ahead and reset the clock for myself here. Yeah, my timing is off with that clock again. You're supposed to be getting this reset signal as the thing. Not getting the reset signal. That's the problem. There we go. Cool deal. All right. There's a little anomaly with my reset signal here, but I think I got that sorted for us. Cool. Okay, there we go. So we've got a couple of different rhythm patterns on the TR-8S that I can switch back and forth between. It would be really nice if we had more than just this one 16-beat groove for the melodics that we could switch back and forth between. So we're using the memetic digitalis to create the actual melodic content for these parts. We're sending that through the direct CV that's coming out of the memetic is running through an attenuator so that it takes that really large 8-octave range of CV information and we scale that right down to maybe just a 1 or 2 octave range. We're doing that with both of the melodic sequences. They're both being generated by the memetic digitalis. It allows me to save these sequences into one of its 8 slots, and then I can start randomizing again now. And if we find something we like, which we will, I'll go ahead and save that into the second slot of the memetic digitalis. And then I'll be able to switch back and forth between 2 different elements of melodic content and 2 different elements of rhythmic content. Let's go ahead and make that happen. I'm just gonna randomize the melodics. I'm sold. That sounds fantastic. I'm gonna save that into the second slot. And we're jamming, right? We're grooving. The patch is, doing its thing. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 8. Here we go one time. And now I'm able to switch back and forth between 2 different patterns. And 1, 2, 1, 2. And here we go, set. Now, this is why I'm using the crash symbol to hit every 8 bars, as it gives me that sense of time and it helps me lock into that groove and know when to actually, make the changes of the rhythmic parts or the melodic parts. I just listen for that crash. The crash symbol is the 1, and 8 bars will pass between when that crash symbol happens and the next 1, if that makes any sense. Talk about 6, and here we go to the 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, and come the crash now. So I really find that sort of a thing useful. You can see that I'm really hammering this concept in, because if you get lost in the jam, or maybe you're off the grid, maybe you're in your own head over here tweaking some knobs in your system or whatnot, you hear that crash, and that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, and you're right back on the grid again so that you can make your changes in time with what the audience is going to be expecting. And 1, and 2, and we're on the grid. 3, 4, drop it. 2, and 3, and 4. Let's bring it back in now. I hope that makes sense, and I'm definitely about the arranging as much as I am about, the concepts and the sounds themselves. If there's not an ebb and flow in the patch and we don't have things to actually change and go between different, sections, I'd say that the listener is going to get bored pretty quickly. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, and 4. Then we get to the 5, and I'm talking about 6, and 7, 2, 3, 4, 8. Let's mix it up. So now that we've, locked ourselves into a groove that we've created, and we've got a couple of different variations of that groove, let's go ahead and continue on the journey. I'll make a brand new groove in the TR-8S real fast. That'll, be different than what we've got so far. get a 606 clap in here. Get our 909 right back in as well. Yeah. And we switch it up. Cool. So we've got 3 rhythm parts now and 2 melodic parts. Let's create that 3rd melodic part. All I have to do is just randomize what the memetic digitalis is doing. I'm sold. That sounds great. One and 2 and 1, 2. Gonna change it. I'm off the grid though, so I'll listen for that crash cymbal. 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4. Let's change the rhythm. And 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And here we go one time. Now, because we're not using any loops of any kind or any sort of content that has rhythmic elements built into it, we can scroll the tempo all we want as well. So maybe if this is feeling a little bit sluggish, now that we've got some sort of groove happening, we can speed that up a little bit by just changing the tempo on the digitact, which is our master clock. So what we were able to create today, even though we had a little bit of trouble getting the tuning on some of these one-shot samples sorted in the beginning, is we've got sort of a robust groove here that we can really just continue on. I can make as many, up to 8 different variations in the TR-8S as I like. Whenever I press the button, it just literally changes the pattern on that next downbeat. So we can create up to 8 different patterns in the TR-8S in this one preset. If I wanted to get more than that, I could use more than one preset. And then with the memetic digitalis creating our melodic lines, we could create up to 8 of those as well. Let's create a fourth melodic line. It's just that simple. I really love the memetic digitalis. It takes a little bit of time to get set up as we experience today, but we just run the outputs through an attenuator so that we can keep control over the range of the CV that it's spitting out. And then we run the output of that attenuator into a quantizer so that it will lock all of those notes to a scale. And then once we get all of that done and we've got it working with sounds that are gelling together, it's really fast and easy to create these variations of the pattern that sound amazing. So we'll go ahead and save this new one into slot 4. And that's a bonus too, that it does randomize in real time. If you're the kind of performer that you like to take a lot more risks in real time, you can absolutely get this set up like we did and then randomize it in real time during your jams, never knowing exactly what it's going to spit out. If you're not happy with what it spits out, maybe in another 4 or 8 bars, you can reload one of the patterns that you had saved in there. Creating another rhythmic pattern that we can go back and forth between. I'm off the grid though. I'll listen for that crash cymbal. 2, 3, 4, and 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. 7 and 8, 2, here we go. When using the TR-8S this way, I like to leave pattern A, the very first pattern, completely empty. So at any time, if I press that on the downbeat of the next measure, all of the percussion lines that are happening from the TR-8S just completely stop. And you're back to just whatever you've got in the system, which currently is no percussion. All of the percussion today is coming out of the TR-8S. At this point, I might take the time to start doing some extra routing on some of this melodic stuff. I might, for instance, take an output of the lead synth and run that into like a filter or something to give me a little bit more things that I can do in real time to interact with the sounds. Let's go ahead and try that. Let's see if we can get a filter on this lead synth sound before it goes into our reverb effect. Gone ahead and done that. And if I just mute pretty much everything else, and that's just something that gives us a little bit more control in real time, something else to mess with the sound. But I'm off the grid again, so I'll listen for that crash symbol. Is it gonna come here? Yep. 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, and 4, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, 7, and 8. Let's get some. Address the crash symbol, the impact sound again. I know a lot of people kind of think that using a crash or impact symbol is kind of old school, but if there's something that helps me actually stay on the grid, or even better, get back to my place on the grid when I'm jamming, if I've lost my place in the grid, that's a fantastic thing, I think, because your audience is definitely going to be on the grid when they're listening. If you've got things coming in on the 7 or the 3 and the 5, it gets a little bit, you know, off kilter, and they don't really know how to follow your groove as easily as if when you just keep it rhythmic and keep it on the 1. So we break it on 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, and here we go to the crash. If there's one concept that I get across with setting up a live performance or a live jam, it's finding ways that'll help you stay on the grid and keep in time. Because when your audience is listening, they're on the grid. Their ears know. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I know we had a little bit of hiccups and a little bit of trouble along the way to get to this destination, and I appreciate the ones of you who stick with me through this. Think about when you're writing at home and you come across those little difficulties. You don't just stop writing. You've got to just start working through those. Sometimes you go a different direction. Sometimes you hammer in on it until you can get to that direction you were actually trying to get to. I like what we've got today. This is a neat one. Let's try to randomize these melodics again. Fantastic. I'll save that into another slot. Let's do that again. Kind of samey, so I'll do it again. Yeah, nice. What happens if we speed this tempo up a little more, maybe a lot more, and go nuts for a minute? All right, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. If anyone has any questions before we call it for today, now would be a great time to ask those, and I'll do my best to answer. Thanks again for those of you who stuck with me. Yeah, thanks, Hayden. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Harvey. The thing is, I didn't want to bring it out 2 weeks in a row. I thought it would be really a lot more challenging and a little more interesting if I brought out something else to work with this week. So this week we're using the TR-8S as just a way to bring in lots of top-end percussion, rides, and shakers and hi-hats. Those aren't coming from this system at all today. We're just using the TR-8S for the percussion and the rhythm and the rides. But there's definitely going to be more patch labs where we bring the quasi-MIDI revolution into it, for sure. for those of you who have been tuning in consistently to my Patch Labs, you probably will notice that the biggest difficulty that I'm having so far, and the biggest, hiccup in this system, is getting my modules in tune with each other. And I'm definitely trying to, develop different methods and different ways of tuning the modules. I have a few modules, including a couple of new ones from Mazatron that really don't need to be super fiddled with to be in tune, and those are awesome to use. But I still need to use the stuff that I've got and get better at learning how to tune everything, especially under pressure in real time on these streams. Yeah, that is a great idea, Redneck Samurai, and definitely something that I could easily do. If I just put a keyboard here where we could like hear a C when I press a C, that would be something a lot easier for me to do to keep in tune. That's a great idea. Look for that next Sunday at 10 a.m. on the next Eurorack Patch Lab, everyone, courtesy of Redneck Samurai and his great idea. Let's definitely do that. Just randomized again, get another little groove. That's cool. We'll save that into an empty slot. Let's try another one. Ooh, nice pause. Love it. Save that into a pattern. Now we've got 7 variations of the melodics. Really familiar with that module called scales, but what I'm using is I'm using a quantizer module to keep everything in key. It's just, boy, I'll tell you what, keeping these modules in tune is got to be like keeping children on a bus or something, because I'm constantly like, get back on the bus. Everybody's always trying to take off on their own. Let's not forget also that in the background we're running this rhythmic pattern on the chord, which I'm controlling the rhythmic pattern of the envelope using this sequencer here, so we can change that up as well. Maybe go to a different rhythmic pattern happening with the chords. Maybe mess with the sound of the chord a little. All right, unless there's any other questions, I think we're going to go ahead and call it for this week. And I definitely appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you very much for those of you who stuck with it for the whole stream today. And we are going to be back next Sunday at 10 a.m. for another Eurorack Patch Lab. I'll probably have something else over here on this side for us to bring into this system and help us create a little bit more than just what I've got in the system currently. But I don't know exactly what that will be. Might be the Revolution again, might not. But thanks very much for joining me. Yeah, I guess we're going to go ahead and call it for today. Thanks very much, everyone.